The river shimmered under the pale Nevada moon, its surface rippling like liquid silver. Clara Hawthorne pulled her cloak tighter around her shoulders as she made her way down the narrow dirt path. The night wind carried the faint smell of pine and horses, and somewhere in the distance, a coyote cried into the darkness. It was late, too late for a woman alone, especially the sheriff's daughter. But Clara wasn't afraid of the dark. She was afraid of the life waiting for her at home. For all her father's love, his rules were iron, unbending, and suffocating. Every step she took, every breath she drew, every person she spoke to, someone in town had an opinion about it. Being the sheriff's daughter meant being watched, judged, and caged. Tonight she came to the river for air. But she wasn't alone. Clara sensed him before she heard him, a faint shift of leaves, a presence lurking just beyond the edge of firelight. Her breath caught as a tall figure stepped out from behind a cluster of cottonwoods, the moonlight catching the gleam of a metal buckle and the shadow of a gun holster. He stood still, letting her see him. Not hunting, not threatening, just there. Cole Maddox, the outlaw with a bounty big enough to feed half the territory for a year. The man her father swore he'd catch one day. The ghost who moved like smoke, silent and untouchable. His dark hair fell across his forehead, and his eyes, sharp, wary, and startlingly human, met hers with a tension that wasn't danger but recognition. "You're a long way from your porch light, Clara Hawthorne," he said, voice low and warm like whiskey. Her pulse thudded. "And you're a long way from the ridge. My father's deputies patrol here." He smirked. "I know. I paid attention to which way they rode." She should have run. She should have screamed. She should have turned back. But her feet stayed rooted, and her eyes refused to leave his. "What do you want?" she asked softly. "Just water." He held up a dented canteen, and 5 quiet minutes. His answer was so simple, so painfully honest that something inside her loosened. He walked toward the river but kept a respectful distance, as if approaching her too fast might break something between them. Clara's heartbeat steadied, almost curious. "You could have come to the river earlier," she murmured. "I could have," he said, kneeling by the water, "but then you wouldn't have been here." Her breath hitched, not in fear but in something warmer, something she didn't have a name for. The outlaw rinsed his hands, then glanced over his shoulder. "Why are you out here alone?" he asked. "You don't strike me as the reckless type." "I'm not." She stepped closer to the water, the moon reflecting in her eyes. "But I'm tired of living a life that belongs to everyone except me." Cole looked at her fully then, not like she was the sheriff's daughter, not like she was a porcelain doll to be protected or judged, but like she was a person he saw. Really saw. "I get that," he said quietly, "more than you know." Clara's breath trembled. She lowered herself onto a fallen log beside him. "They say you're dangerous," she whispered. "They say I've killed men I never met," he replied. "They say I robbed banks I wasn't within 50 miles of." "And the truth?" Cole's jaw flexed. He stared at the river long before he spoke. "I'm not the monster they want me to be," he said, "but I'm no saint either. I've done what I had to do to survive." She watched him, his scarred knuckles, the fatigue hidden under his strength, the loneliness etched into every line of his face. Her heart softened without her permission. "Surviving doesn't make you a bad man," she said. His eyes snapped to hers, surprised. "Most people don't think that." "I'm not most people." "No," he murmured, "you're not." Silence filled the night, thick with something electric and forbidden. Time seemed to slow, the river's whisper harmonizing with the beating of their hearts. Cole rose to his feet, and Clara felt her chest tighten, thinking he was leaving. But instead he offered his hand. Without hesitation, without fear, she placed her hand in his. His touch was warm, rough, steady. Her chest fluttered in a way she had never felt before. You shouldn't trust me, he whispered. I already do. His breath caught. No outlaw looked shaken, but for a moment Cole Maddox did. Clara, he said, voice strained, your father would shoot me dead if he saw this. And I'd still be standing here. He stepped closer, too close. Their breaths mingled. The world shrank to the space between them. I came to the river to clear my head, Clara whispered, but all I can think about is you. Cole swallowed hard. The outlaw, the ghost, the man running from the world, was falling apart in front of her. You're the one thing I never meant to find, he said, voice breaking, and the one thing I can't walk away from. His forehead touched hers. Her fingers curled into his shirt. The river murmured its approval. In that stolen moment, under moonlight and danger, their hearts spoke a language older than fear, older than law, older than the world that would never understand them. For one night, just one. The outlaw wasn't running, and the sheriff's daughter wasn't trapped. They were simply two souls who found each other by the river, and listened to the truth beating between them. Cole didn't kiss her, not yet. But the way he breathed against her skin, the way his hands hovered near her waist as if fighting his own instincts, told Clara everything he was too afraid to say. For the first time in years, she felt alive. But reality came crashing back when a distant whistle echoed across the plains, the sharp, shrill sound of a deputy signaling his location. Cole flinched. Clara felt it. They're closer than I thought, he muttered. You need to go, she whispered back, even as every part of her begged him to stay. He didn't move. I don't want to, he said. Her heart twisted. This outlaw was a man pulled in two directions, toward survival and toward her. The second terrified him more. Cole brushed a thumb gently across her cheek, a touch so careful it made her eyes sting. They can't see you with me, he said. And I'm tired of letting fear make my choices, she replied. He met her eyes, and for a moment he let himself imagine it. A life where he didn't have to run. A life where she wasn't the law's daughter. A life where the river was theirs and the world could burn. But fantasy was a cruel thing. Cole stepped back, jaw tight. I'll come back when it's safe. When is anything safe for you? She whispered. He didn't answer. Instead, he stepped backward into the trees, eyes locked with hers until the shadows swallowed him whole. Clara didn't breathe until he vanished. The next morning, the town of Haven Ridge buzzed with talk of Cole Maddox. Someone claimed they'd seen his tracks near the river. Another swore he'd heard hoofbeats heading north. The deputies were preparing for a full search. Sheriff Hawthorne stood in the center of it all, stern, grim, furious. We catch him this time, he barked. He's been on my land twice this month. That ends today. Clara's stomach knotted. She kept her face calm, but inside she replayed every second of the night before, Cole's voice, his touch, the way he said, I don't want to go. She didn't sleep, she didn't eat. And she couldn't breathe knowing her father wanted to kill the man who looked at her like she mattered. By noon, the heat was thick and heavy as the sheriff called his posse together. We ride in 10 minutes. Clara felt panic rising like a wave. She shouldn't warn him. She couldn't warn him. But she had to. While the deputies saddled up, she slipped through the backs of the shops, kept to the alleys, and hurried toward the ridge trail, the one Cole would take if he returned to the river. Her horse, Daisy, waited behind the stable. Clara mounted her quickly, heart pounding. Go, girl, she whispered. They galloped into the hills, dust swirling behind them. Clara didn't stop until she reached the lookout, the high stretch of cliff where you could see the whole valley. If Cole was watching the town, he'd be here. And he was. He appeared from behind the rocks, hand instinctively brushing his holster, but when he recognized her, every line of tension softened. You're not supposed to be here, he said. I had to warn you, she said breathlessly. My father's coming with 10 men. They think you were at the river last night." He stared at her, unreadable. "And were they right?" "Yes." His jaw clenched. "Then I'm sorry I put you at risk." "I'm not," she said. "I made my own choice." His eyes softened in a way she wasn't prepared for. "You shouldn't care this much," he said quietly. "I tried not to," she whispered. "I failed." The wind tugged a strand of her hair loose, and Cole reached out without thinking, tucking it gently behind her ear. His touch lingered, warm against her skin. "They're coming for you," she said. "Let them." "Cole." "I'm tired of running." Her heart slammed in her chest. "If you stay, they'll shoot." "Not if I surrender." Clara grabbed his arm, fear sharp in her voice. "My father will hang you, you know that." Cole didn't deny it. "Then why," she demanded, "why give up now?" He stepped closer, voice low and raw. "Because last night was the first time in years I stopped feeling like an animal being hunted." Her breath hitched. "You made me remember I'm still a man," he said, "and I can't be that man if I spend my life hiding." Her throat tightened. "So you're doing this because of me?" "No," he shook his head gently. "I'm doing it because of the man I want to be, and because I want a chance at seeing you again without looking over my shoulder." Clara felt tears burn behind her eyes. But before she could speak, a gunshot cracked through the air. Clara and Cole froze. Another shot fired, closer this time. The posse had reached the ridge. Cole's horse spooked. Clara grabbed his arm. "Run," she whispered, "please." "I told you, I'm done running." "Then I'll run with you." He looked at her like she'd knocked the breath from his lungs. "You don't belong in my world," he said hoarsely. "I belong where I choose," she insisted. Voices echoed up the trail. The deputies were seconds away. Cole made a split decision, one that would change the rest of their lives. He yanked Clara toward him and swung her onto his horse, then mounted behind her in one swift, shocking motion. "Cole," he gripped the reins. "Hold on to me." Another gunshot. Bark exploded off a nearby tree. Clara wrapped her arms around him tight, burying her face against his chest as Cole kicked the horse into a dead sprint. They thundered down the ridge, bullets flying, shouts rising behind them, the world blurring into dust and fear and freedom. Clara had never felt more terrified. She had never felt more alive. And as Cole Maddox rode with the sheriff's daughter held against his heart, he knew. There was no going back now. Not for either of them.